Good evening, everybody out there. Welcome to the studio this evening. And I shall just change glasses and get ready to do some more work on this titanium chain. All I've got to do is work out how I was doing it. Yeah, okay. So, titanium chain. So I need some titanium rings in order to do this. So I shall tip a few out. And right, the blue ones need to be closed and the purple ones need to be opened. Now these are actually, now these are green. These are actually green. Would you believe it? They're green. Well, they're meant to be green. That's probably what I bought, I think. But titanium dyes slightly differently to aluminium in that respect. Now then, let's see what this is like using a ring opener. In actual fact, I will also use a different pair of pliers because I do know that these titanium rings are really strong. You don't necessarily look it, but they are take a little bit of effort to twist. Which of course is what titanium is known for, I guess, lightweight and strength. I'll do about 20 of these and then I'll weave them and I'll come back and do some more. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, so another 10, and then I'll do the blues. So if this looks boring, but it's an important part of doing this. Can't weave rings if they're not prepared, so preparation. Okay, that's 10 of those to start with. Actually, it's 20 of those. If I could count, then I'd probably get further. Let's close up these colour. Yes, I am doing this on frame. I have a habit of wandering out of frame when I'm doing this sort of thing. Wow, that's a big cut. Actually, I'm thinking that for titanium they've probably used bigger saws to cut the rings than the thin ones that are used for aluminium. But having said which, that cut is really tiny. Two, four, six, 7. Oh dear, I should have been able to spot that just by looking at it. That's 10. There's one thing I like about these titanium rings, and that is there's some lovely sort of colours, because they're not unlike the aluminium rings. They're not all one single shade. They sort of vary across the or around the ring. And also when you look at them at different light angles, they go sort of like from a purpley blue to a greeny colour. Some lovely variations in them. 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I'm just pretending I can count. Sometimes I wonder when you count out a perfect number of rings, you think you've got it right, and then there's some left over at the end, or you didn't actually have the matching number that you thought you had. Right, one more, and then we'll put some of these together. That'll do, right. Now try and remember the way in which this weave works. If I remember rightly, it's through that, and then pick up a blue ring. I'll say blue, it's meant to be green I think, if I remember rightly. And close. Now then, question is, did I get that right? Well, it looks like it. Okay, well let's just carry on. Let's assume I did. Be adventurous. Assume that I've got it right. Until proven otherwise. Which may be very soon, but... These do take a lot of effort to close. Well, Twitch seems really quiet tonight. Where is everybody? Of course, you're not here, so you're not going to actually answer that, but... Well, I've messed something up. That's for sure. Somehow I managed to start and do this upside down. I can feel it's actually backwards. I can't... maybe I should have really started this again from scratch. It used to be that the problem with half Persians was getting them started. Well, I know how to get them started now fairly easily, and now the problem I'm having is not getting them started, it's keeping them going. So we're back where we are. So we're that way up. So let's see if this is right. I think the 4-in-1 Persians are actually easier. I suspect that there is actually an easier way of doing this, but because I'm carrying on with the chain I've already started, and I'm probably doing it from the back end rather than the front end, but that way. With the half Persian 3-in-1, which is what I'm doing here, there's actually two different ways of doing it. There's a left hand and a right hand version, which is all to do with the way the rings actually lay. And I suspect I'm sort of doing the opposite as to what I would have done previously. Now then. Well, whatever's on this side is a bit of a mess, that one there, so we'll just fix this end as well. Quite a lot of change you can work from either end. No, that's still not right. Why can I not get that to look how it's supposed to? I'm obviously doing something wrong. Interesting puzzle. I won't bother. Let's just work from this end. Interesting. That's interesting because that may well be a slightly easier and faster technique. Whether I'll actually remember it when I come to do another one, I'm not sure. Work earring. What it allows me to do is to pick up a purple and a green ring together. It saves me sort of rearranging hands and things to pick up an extra ring. And then all I need to do is make sure that goes. Well, all I need to do is that. Being able to do that's another matter. There we go. Through, not just through the one, through the two like that. Yeah. I'm actually weaving this upside down. Previously I'd have woven this the other way up. So this is kind of like V down. A half Persian is kind of a V shape, and you can either be that way or the other way, like an N or an A shape. Both the same, obviously, you just turn it over, but generally speaking I would weave this in the A direction so that it's, the V is pointing upwards, the point is pointing upwards. And as it happens, what I'm doing now is actually doing it the other way up, and it's a little bit easier from the point of view of positioning the rings, and the fact that I can actually pick up 2 rings at the same time. There's one thing about titanium rings, is they don't scratch very easily. They also don't bend very easily. And yes, it does take that much effort to get it to close sometimes. Come on, ring. Oh, that's needing like hydraulic pliers to be able to close that sometimes. Hydraulic pliers, by the way, if you know, and you've probably never heard of those. You can get pneumatic pliers as well, but hydraulic or pneumatic pliers use either a liquid or air to open and close them, so they can put quite a lot of pressure on things, and sometimes operated by foot pedals and things. Now if you use a pair of those, unless they're calibrated on aluminium, you squash it flat. On these I suspect it'd just go ha ha at you and not do what you wanted. Exilian, good evening. Welcome to the studio this evening. How are you today? I'm getting a little frustrated with titanium rings. I like them, but I kind of don't want to make too many things with them. I don't know if the bigger ones are any easier. These are relatively small rings. One of the things I do like about half Persian, though, even though I didn't like this until I worked out how to do it, is they do grow fairly quickly. It's getting warmer there, and so things are, well, I don't think things have stopped being green over here at the moment. Might have some places might have more mud than green, but we haven't really had, we've had a lot of rain more than anything. I was commenting earlier about counting, and about, even if you're really careful about counting rings, so you get the exact number that you want to open and to close, you always find that there's some left over when you, no matter how careful you were and how exact you checked and how many times you double checked. It's like I've got 2 purple rings left and I've got 3 green ones. They were supposed to be equal. And mind you, having thought about it, I took some off the other end, so maybe that's what's caused the mismatch. That ring isn't really well closed. Let's try again. There we go. You had a couple of weeks of temperatures down to -10. That's that sounds cold. Well, it sounds cold for over here. Actually, we've had some minus temperatures this year as well. With -4 not so long ago, but we didn't get snow. I was just thinking, and it actually reminded me when you reading that was one year we went to Lapland, go see Santa Claus, and when they're there, they said it's unseasonably warm. It's warmed right up today. It's only -12. And it's kind of like, yeah, actually when you went out in it, it didn't feel cold at all. Well, not to me. I'm sure you guys get used to that sort of thing, but how long is that? Well, if I compare it to that. Okay, I made that last night, by the way. Your parents live in the mid-northern parts of Sweden, have -35. Yeah, that does sound cold. It's all about preparation though, isn't it, Exilian? I mean, if you're prepared for it and you know how to handle it, it's not bad. It's yes, put that together last night because I made some earrings. I don't know if you can see them, but I made some earrings last night. I did not feel like streaming at all last night, so I didn't. But I did do some work. Let's do another 20. I may not actually have enough titanium rings. Yep, they do indeed. I kind of find it fascinating how people learnt to live in those environments in the first place, you know, a long time ago, and you know, learn how to dress and what animal skins, I suppose, and things to actually wear in order to stay warm in that sort of environment. I know these days it'll all be synthetic fibres and things, but I know over here it tends to be wind chill's the worst bit about it, not so much 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, not so much temperature itself, although yeah, minus anything is an interesting temperature. One thing I found fascinating, and I saw it actually, I've seen it actually done, and it really surprised me about, you know, temperatures like that, is I saw somebody take a bucket of cold water and throw it, and you get a bucket of cold water thrown and, you know, lands on the ground, turns to ice, as you might expect. Then somebody took a bucket of hot water and threw it, and the whole thing just vaporised, just vanished in a cloud of steam, which I found absolutely fascinating. I can understand why it does it, but it was still just amazing. Hot water disappears, cold water lands on the floor and freezes. That's physics for you. So have you come across any interesting creative streamers, Exilian? It's something I haven't gone really looking for too recently. I think I've come across a new person doing glass blowing, I think, and I noticed Bubbles the Monkey has started streaming again, doing the perler stuff. What was it I saw last? Was it the other night? I did actually have a quick look the other night. Can't remember what I saw. I did see something fairly unusual, but I can't remember what it is now. Yeah, it is a neat trick, isn't it? I know everybody would expect the hot water to sort of land and melt the snow, not vanish before it hit the floor. It's temperatures are not, well, I was going to say temperature's an odd thing. It is in a way. We get sort of deep freezes, you know, operate sort of around about -18 and things like that. And It's surprising when you think you put something into a deep freezer like that, when it's put something in that's at room temperature, so I don't know, plus 18 degrees. When you compare that to sort of the deep freeze at minus 18, minus 20, that's sort of half the way to boiling point. You know, there's a difference between them. It is, you know, it's like putting, you know, it is like putting boiling water on your desk. It's, you know, 40 degrees above ambient temperature, and you think that's hot, and yet you quite happily put something at you know, 18 degrees into a freezer, thinking that's not hot, but it really is. You're more into stream games? Oh, okay. Yeah, there's quite a few streamers that I used to, well, they're still on the watch list, but that I used to watch, but I don't watch anymore. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. I used to watch Dan's Gaming a lot, for example, and Squirrel. Don't watch them anymore. Just, well, I've gone off them as such, but I've just lost interest in what it is that they're broadcasting, which is really silly, because I know Squirrel effectively is broadcast games that I do like watching, but people's styles, you just go off people's styles for a while. I spent more time actually watching a guy called DJ Arcus, who is the developer for Fortress Craft Evolved, who broadcasts. He actually broadcasts the development of the game. You can't tell what he's doing as such, but it's fun to watch. That and Train Simulator. I'm sorry about that. It seems to be broadcasting okay here. We're not dropping any frames. 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. That's 20. That's close enough. Upside down. That's why. And breathe. Actually, I learnt an interesting technique today for when you're feeling nervous and things like that. And it's kind of a meditation technique in a way, but apparently, like if you're going for to do a presentation or something like that, and you start feeling nervous and sick and what have you, that's something called it's a fight or flight response. That does that. That makes you feel sick, and apparently when you get like that, you lose peripheral vision. You start focusing really tightly on something, and it's when the bear's about to attack you in the wild. You want to focus on that. You want to exclude everything else. Focus on what that's doing so you can survive. So apparently, if you want to relax when you're feeling really nervous like that, the trick is to sort of turn your peripheral vision back on, so to speak, and you can't be nervous and have peripheral vision at the same time. That's the hypothesis. So the meditation technique basically is to stare at a point on the wall and then just gradually sort of expand your awareness without looking sideways, but out, expand what you can see in your peripheral vision without sort of changing where you're looking at. You can blink and what have you, and then sideways, up and down, and gradually sort of imagine being aware of what's behind you. When you do that, you apparently stop feeling nervous and stop feeling sick. It's quite a clever idea, really. Don't you get some really esoteric stuff on this stream? I can't actually recall what it was that made me think of that just then, but oh yes, I remember what it was. These rings were trying my patience a little bit. You know, deep breathing is supposedly works as well, because when you get sort of tense and things like that, you know, the point where you start throwing things around, deep breathing apparently you start breathing really shallowly. Again, this is fight or flight stuff, and if you take deep breaths, you relax all your muscles. We have a pussycat in the studio somewhere. I can hear it cleaning a plate. So I wonder which one it is. I'd have said Junior, because he's the one that tends to like that sort of thing much, but these days could easily be Felix, because he's being a really odd pussycat these days. So we may get a visit from Junior. On the other hand, he may just go sit on top of the air vent in the top of my computer at the end of the desk and lay on that. Oh, I'm sorry, Exilian. So you've probably missed everything that I was saying, and you're probably really glad about that as well. We're just doing educational stuff. Yeah, which reminds me, I saw a pop-up tonight when I started up Twitch. They're starting to record the chat messages, so when you watch back the VODs, you'll actually be able to watch the chat as well, which is quite an interesting development. I know a lot of broadcasters put the chat on screen so that it gets recorded. I mean, some of them do it so you can see what they see, so you can match the comments up, but it's going to be interesting to see what it's like to watch back videos with the chat, because there's always that time where you watch the broadcaster and they make a comment, and it sounds like it ought to be a really funny comment if you'd understood what it was that they were making it about, and you never do. And yeah. I was talking about fight or flight responses and deep breathing and peripheral vision. And actually today I even had a short course on different coloured hats. At which point anybody hearing that's going, what on earth are you talking about? Educational again, you see. Called the six hats technique for developing creative ideas, or for being creative. And there's 6 colours of hats, and the hats are what you wear a hat to think in a certain way. It's just a metaphor, but and it was interesting. But right, how long is that compared to that? Oh, we're getting there. Indeed, important stuff, yeah. Well, if ever you're feeling extremely nervous or scared, it probably is important stuff. At that point, you'll be going, I wish Twitch hadn't frozen the stream for that 2 minutes. I've been trying to decide what class to actually put on these, because sterling silver doesn't seem like a good class to put on titanium, because titanium it's kind of a dusty colour is the best way of I can think of describing it. If you can, if it doesn't show up fantastically well, but it's kind of a dusty sort of shade, and sterling silver clasp is really shiny, at least to start with, and it don't feel like the right class to put on here. I'm thinking about putting maybe a stainless steel clasp on. Because although they're sort of shiny, they're sort of a dusty shiny type of thing. They're a bit more grey than sterling silver. We're also thinking about potentially getting some plastic coloured clasps, but okay. This is really tiring on the hands. I'm quite used to doing this. Probably should, working with the rings and the pliers, but this is really taking quite a bit of force, don't you? You probably, well, you might be able to see if I can hold my fingers out of the way. I'm getting red marks across my fingers there, and on this hand here. He says trying to again show, there we go, red marks, and that's just from gripping the pliers so hard, because you twisting the titanium isn't too bad. It's trying to close the gap where you've got to push together, and to push you've got to really hold the pliers against the metal quite strongly. Twisting isn't so much of a problem. Hello, Junior. Hello. You just put that down there. Are you going to come and sit on my knee rather than on the... Yeah, you want to sit on my knee? Come on then. That's Junior's paw. This is where we're probably now going to get hundreds of people come and watch the stream just because you're on it. Yes. Hello. Come on then. Come on onto my knee. That's it. There we go. You going to settle down? Come on, all the way on. All the way on. That's it. Get your paws off the desk, in other words. You're going to settle down now, or at least turn around and look at the camera and be all cute. You're going to turn around and not look at the camera. There we go. Actually, this tends to be his favourite direction. It's weird. This tends to be his favourite direction to lay. I don't know. I'll sit when he's on my knee. I don't know if it's because he can see what's going on at the other side of the room, or he's looking for things coming into the room, or quite what, but he tends to prefer to sit this way. Very rarely does he sit the other way. You probably prove me wrong the next time he comes on my knee, but you're going to settle down now so that I can continue to do jewellery across the top of you. There we go. Well, if nothing else, it gives me a chance to relax and exercise my fingers. Stroke a cat, good way to relax from doing jewellery stuff. There you go. Okay, now let's see how settled he is, because quite often he'll actually stand up if I don't keep stroking him enough. He may be settled, that's good. Two, five. At least the second time around I count it correctly. Of course, this is now a little bit more awkward leaning over the top of a cat. Rings. Stop playing games. Thank you. I'm going to measure this. Let's see how long that is. I'm going to make a 7.5-inch bracelet. So that's actually a little bit long. It's actually not too bad, but it's almost exactly the right length. So let's have a look at what we've got in the way of clasps. No, I'm not using the sterling silver ones. I've got some toggle clasp. Now, do I want to put toggle clasp on there? Let's have a look. We shall get one out and we shall have a look. Yeah, all right. Actually, I'm just putting this on the desk there. That doesn't actually look too bad. Now the only thing about that though is I do need a little bit of extra length. So if you want a 7.5-inch bracelet with a toggle clasp on it, it needs to be a little tiny bit longer, because you've got to get the bar through the toggle. So I will add a few more rings and we'll see how we go. Probably just add a couple. Could do a pair of earrings as well if I can think of a design for the earrings. I may just have enough rings left to do that. Now then, what I'm going to do with this is put that through there and there, and pick up the toggle. I think we'll just split that blue one and we'll put a toggle on that as well. Going back in there, ring. There we go. History in the making here, you see, Exilian. Big Peak. Good evening and welcome to the studio. Because that was the first time I've used titanium rings to make a bracelet, and it's the first time I've put stainless steel toggle on any bracelet, never mind a titanium one. So, one titanium. Why does that? Why does that ring look out of place? I was going to say one titanium bracelet. What have I done up there? What's... There's nothing wrong with it slightly. Okay. Sometimes you just get a ring that doesn't quite sit straight, maybe it's not quite round or something like that, but it just sits slightly out of place and you look at it and it looks like there's something wrong, but in actual fact there actually isn't. Yeah, 4 people. Yeah, it's pussycat, you see. So, that's a titanium bracelet with a toggle clasp on the end of it. I can't put it on because it won't fit me, because I've got an 8.5 inch wrist and this is 7.5. But there we go. Right, am I going to be able to... what could I do for earrings? I suppose ideally I should have titanium wire earrings as well, ear wires. And for those of you who have no idea, that's an ear wire for those people who have pierced ears. You stick that through the hole and it hangs. I kind of want a pendant of some kind on the end if I'm going to use if I was going to make earrings out of it, to use that design. Otherwise, yeah, the simpler stuff, which is just 1-in-1 rings. How many? We've got enough rings left. Let's just try a little. Yeah, let's try a little bit of full Persian. Yeah, you okay, Junior? I can't remember what the aspect ratio of these rings are, so aspect ratio is what's important when you're weaving rings, not the size of them. It's to do with the wire diameter and the diameter actually of the ring itself, the internal diameter. And that generates what you could call a magic number. It's called the aspect ratio, and that tells you whether, quite often will tell you whether a weave will work or not. That might. Let's try. Don't have a lot to lose. Two, three, four, five, six. Close up 6 of these. Actually, I close. Well, I can close 6. You know, Junior, it's nice having you on my knee, but it is actually quite awkward to do. What I want, and what I could do with actually, is I saw a desk this weekend, which was it's really quite a nice desk. It's what they call a standing sitting desk, which sounds like an oxymoron, but what you can do is you can raise the desk so you can work at it stood up, or you can work at it sat down. What I'd be able to do here is just raise it up a little bit so the cat goes underneath the desk and then get up to it. Mouth is everywhere, it is indeed. Yeah. It's going to go that way, so they're going to go that way. Okay. Now this is where this gets really fiddly at this point. Just starting this weave is really fiddly. So through there, through that. Come on. course, with this this craft, you're using maths a lot because you've got you're counting how many rings you've got. That's now gone out of place, so that's not any good to me. So I'll take that out and do that again. So what might help is this spike I've got here. Because surprisingly, you do a heck of a lot of math. Well, it depends on whether you're in America or not. Lady Zara there was just making comment about the fact that we're in the UK, so we call it maths, plural. Sorry, this is probably completely off camera, but it's really fiddly. Oh, bother. Yeah, because you not only do you have to calculate things like the aspect ratio, well, you generally don't calculate it because you just look on the packet, but you're doing things like you're trying to work out how many rings you need for a particular length of bracelet or something like that, and you know what, I've got a feeling if I do no. I may give this up. This is one time where small rings are just too fiddly sometimes. Yeah, have I managed that? I have. Wow. These, yeah, this is looking like, I don't know what the aspect ratio of these are, and I can't remember what I need for full Persian, but I've got a feeling these may turn out to be too small. And what happens when they're too small is basically they just get the weave gets too tight. It doesn't flow anymore. It's not flexible. It just goes rigid. Now, actually, for earrings, that probably wouldn't be too bad, but for a bracelet, that's not the sort of thing that you want. There we go. Now then, you go over there. Go on. As I often say, it's quite alright to talk to the rings. It's when they start answering you back that you start to worry. That's it. There we go. That's what I was trying to do, is just get those two in the right position. And we do that same thing again. You go through there, and through there, and like that. Wow. once you've got the first few rings on, it becomes easier, does this? Actually, like most weaves, they do tend to get easier as you start to build it. Yeah, come on. Got ya. That doesn't look too bad. Not too bad as well. Doesn't look particularly chunky next to it, which is what I was worried about, and it's reminiscent of the same sort of design. Okay, so I might fill out a pair of earrings. I've got enough for them. Okay, Big Peak, I guess you've already gone. Sorry I've been concentrating, but thank you for dropping in. Hope to see you again in the future. Sorry, whilst I'm concentrating sometimes on the rings, I don't take a lot of notice about what's going on in chat. Otherwise it gets a little bit frustrating sometimes. You just need to look up sometimes and a ring slips and everything goes all over the place. I think though, I'm going to give it a rest for tonight though. A little bit earlier. I know I've only been streaming for about an hour and a quarter, but I achieved what I wanted to do, which was to get this titanium bracelet finished. It's been, a little bit of it has been sat on my desk for about 6 months at least, I think. And it was done as originally done as a test strip, but that purple ring probably wants to go the other way around. Oh, it'll do. Yeah, it was done as a little test strip just to play about with titanium rings, just to see what they were like. Which is when I discovered how, say, hard they are to work. There is, you know, they're a really strong ring, which takes quite a bit of effort, and I'm going to give my hands a rest having done that. So yep, I think that will be it for tonight. I might do some more carving tomorrow. I'm not sure whether I feel like it again just at the moment, or whether I'll do a little bit more of this. I've got some more silver jewellery, silver coloured jewellery. Got to be careful that I want to have a go at. So I think we will call it a night. I'm going to say, if there's anybody watching, take a look at the shop, Zaraganart. The shop. There is a small shop there, but it's mainly just my website, zaraganart.com. It tells you a little bit more about the individual pieces that I've done, the ones that are on there. There's a few: pyrograph, scraper board, punchcraft, jewellery, and another one, carving. Yeah, Booth the Dragon's on there. tells you a little bit more about the pieces. But there is also the shop there as well, Etsy shop, zaragonart.etsy.com, and I will try and get these up sometime in the next day or so. So if you're interested in titanium jewellery, you should be able to find some on there shortly. Some nice earrings, as you can see, lovely crystal or silver looking, and they'll be available as a set as well if you're at all interested in that. Other than that, I will remind you to push the follow button if you're not already following. It would be nice, but that's entirely up to you. You can also follow me on Twitter, it's @zaragonart. I do tweet, hopefully when I go live and when I'm not going to go live, so you keep up to date, and occasional things like when that's nice and pretty to the shop. If you'd just like to try and catch me tomorrow, hopefully I'll be on, subject to me telling you otherwise on Twitter, from about 8 PM UK time, 2000 hours UTC GMT, or about an hour and 3/4 ago roughly, depending on tea and things like that. Thank you all. See you again in the future. Bye for now.